Once there was a brave young knight known as Sir Galahad, who rode around on a great war horse shouting, "Bring on the fire-breathing dragons! Bring on the man-eating giants! Bring on the ogres and trolls! I'll clobber the brutes, I will!" All the shouting was upsetting to Clyde, his horse. He wasn't the least bit brave, and he worried what he would do if Sir Galahad actually met some horrible monster. Clyde didn't want anyone to know he was a coward, so he pretended to be brave by prancing around with his chest out and his nose in the air. But his act didn't fool the farm dogs. They had great fun barking at him. Clyde was so skittish that even a cross-eyed old scarecrow gave him the creeps, and when he heard the news that a gigantic ogre was on the rampage far out in the countryside, the faint-hearted horse was horrified. The monster always attacked in the middle of the night, and the poor farmers and families were running away because they had no way to fight the gigantic beast. "No need to panic," shouted the brave Sir Galahad. "I'll throttle the monster in a trice. I'll finish him off before tea time." "No, not that easy," warned an old farmer. "I got a peek at the monster last night. He's a whopper, a giant, owl-eyed, ox-footed ogre. They say he hides out in the woods to the north of here, but anyone who dared go in after him would be a dim-witted noodlehead." "Then I'm a dim-witted noodlehead," laughed Sir Galahad, "and I'm off to meet the ogre. Let's go, Clyde." Clyde hoped they would never find the monster, but pretty soon they came upon his tracks, surrounding a barn. "He must be a whopper," exclaimed Sir Galahad. "With tracks like these we'll catch up to the beast in no time. Clyde, we're in luck." They followed the ogre's tracks to a dark, gloomy wood, and Clyde was very scared. "Oh ho, come now," scoffed Sir Galahad. "Don't tell me my noble high-stepping steed has turned into a chicken." No horse can stand to be called a chicken, not even one as cowardly as Clyde. So, with an angry snort, he headed in to the gloomy woods. It was ever so quiet in the woods. The only sound was Clyde's big feet. Pretty soon, they heard a noise. The great beast was sprawled on his back, sound asleep and snoring. "What a cinch! The brute is far off in dreamland. I could slit his gullet in a twinkling, and he'd never know it. But that wouldn't be sporting, would it, Clyde? Not fair at all." Then Sir Galahad shouted, "En garde!" The startled monster reared up with an angry, his fierce eyes searching everywhere at once. He gleefully squealed when he spied the knight on horseback right under his nose. He was always hungry. He leaped to the attack just as Sir Galahad lashed out with the sword, but they both missed when Clyde swerved to one side to escape the terrible claws. Then the panicky horse was off and away, running through the woods at a furious gallop. "Whoa! Whoa! Hold up!" shouted Sir Galahad. "Stop! Stop! You chicken-livered, cowardly big loot!" But the worst of all insults couldn't stop Clyde now. He was determined to save both of their necks, whether his foolhardy master liked it or not. And he kept going full gallop, dodging past tree limbs, leaping over boulders and logs, out of the spooky old woods. Clyde was far out in the meadow before he dared slow down and look back. His saddle was empty. Sir Galahad was back in the woods somewhere. He had obviously taken a tumble, and who knows, he could have been devoured by the ogre. Yet the horse would never know unless he went back into the woods to find out, and he wasn't half brave enough to do that. "If there's even a slim chance," thought Clyde, "that I could do something to save him, then I must take the chance. If I'm not half brave enough, then I must pretend to be brave. I'll put on a big act." Then, snorting fiercely, just like a high-spirited steed, Clyde went charging headlong back into the gloomy old woods. When Clyde reached the spot where they had first met the monster, he was stopped short by a great roaring burst of laughter. The giant beast was in a frolicsome mood, playing cat and mouse with Sir Galahad. The heroic young knight was putting up a furious fight, swinging away with the sword, while the ogre kept jabbing at him with the claw. Clyde knew the game could end in a second with one crunching bite, unless a horse got in the game. Clyde knew what he must do. He clamped his teeth onto the monster's scaly blue tail. Cried the ogre. He had never been bitten before, and he whirled around in snarling fury. Then Clyde turned to run. The ogre forgot about the knight, and in great leaps and bounds came chasing after Clyde, just as the horse had expected him to. Once again, Clyde was galloping away through the woods, but this time not nearly so fast. He was getting leg-weary after so much running, and the ogre was surprisingly quick. He came waffling and gruffling on through the trees, gaining with each giant step. Then, in one wild grab, he caught the horse by the tail. It would have been the finish for poor Clyde if he hadn't reached the edge of the woods. In one last desperate lunge, one tremendous surge of horsepower, he made it out into the meadow and hauled the giant ogre after him. Suddenly, it was the ogre's turn to be terrified. He had been caught by surprise, out in broad daylight with the sun glaring down on him. An owl-eyed monster who thrives on darkness and gloom can't last 10 seconds in the bright sunlight, and he knew it. He let go of the horse and burst into horrible howls and screeches that could be heard all the way to Twixingham. Sir Gallivant came dashing out of the woods, just in time to see the monster explode in one big curb. Just like that, he was gone. "Clyde," stammered the flabbergasted knight. "Did you see that? The big brute's gone. Vanished. Gone in one big kerpluffle. Amazing! Fantastic! I must spread the great news. Tell everyone. Come on, Clyde. Let's go." As Sir Gallivant sent Clyde racing across the countryside to catch up with the frightened farmers, he suddenly realized they would never believe that such a huge beast could vanish in one big kerp. So he quickly made up a better ending for the ogre. Hear this! Hear this!" he shouted. "I have clobbered the monster, slashed him to bits and pieces. Just one big banquet for the buzzards. He's gone forever!" And Sir Gallivant became an instant hero. After that, when Clyde went prancing along with his chest out and his nose in the air, he really was feeling brave. The farm dogs could sense it at once, and they gave up barking at him. It was no fun barking at a horse who wouldn't even twitch an ear. But after all, a horse who bites a giant ogre on the tail and lives to trot another day is just about as brave as anyone can be.